Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go over some training info and ideas during the fall 2020 kind of season, or at least fall 2020 quarter. In this meeting, we'll got an agenda, so we'll let you know what we're doing. Do introductions, myself and Clancy. We'll just go over some general training principles. That includes kind of what a week might look like, workouts, and some recovery and prevention ideas that you can do. We'll talk a little bit about staying motivated and where to start if you are just trying to get back into it, and how to keep going if you've been into it. And we've got some links to some articles, podcasts, and YouTube channels. And at the end, we got a small activity, reflection activity, for all of you to check out and see where you're at and see how you can improve. All right, so introductions. I guess maybe we should have put the personal introductions first, but here's some pictures of Clancy and myself. We're the people right here. And then Clancy found this one. This was a nice picture. And then this one's also nice. You can't see either of us, but it's us, trust me. So we'll get going. All right, I'm Nathan Kwan. I'm currently not a student. I am a high school chemistry and physics teacher. So teaching and talking over Zoom is nothing new to me. This is my 8th year involved with the club. So been around a while. And I guess one running fun fact, prominent accomplishment is that I placed 71st in the US Olympic marathon trials. So that was kind of neat. All right.
Hi, everyone. I'm Clancy. I'm a PhD student, so I've been continuously a student for a while. I'm just basically a figurehead. Since Nathan is now not a student, I'm technically the coach registered with sport clubs, but I'm just here to help out Nathan, and I maintain the website and whatever needs to be put up there for training and that sort of thing. So feel free to ask me questions too, but just here to kind of help.
And Clancy's prominent running accomplishment is he was last year's running club national champion. So that's pretty cool. That's that bottom left photo there. So neat stuff. All right. So, and he's got, this picture doesn't look like you, Clancy, the top left one in the pink.
Well, so these are just like screenshots I took because I can't, I don't have any pictures of me teaching, but because I teach a field class in the spring, I had to take a whole bunch of videos. So I just took screenshots of the videos so you know that I am who I say I am.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, you're talking to a pine cone and got a duck in the background there. Okay, all right. Good. We will move on. So the purpose of this meeting, it's a short info session about some general training ideas. We're not going to go too in depth. We're mostly going to talk about the what's and not the whys. So if you have questions about the whys, we were more than welcome to talk about that. But the first kind of rundown of this presentation will just be kind of some general what's, some tips during this current school year, and then any questions that the lot of you might have. So for our general training principles, we wouldn't blanket everyone. So during this time, there might be maybe 2 categories of runners. You might have a more casual outlook right now, and you're just trying to stay fit and socialize, not maybe in person, but just kind of staying in touch with people and seeing what they're doing. Or you might be more on the competitive side, and you might be trying to train for some races when they come back, and you're more interested in performance for yourself and against other people. So you might identify yourself with some descriptors. If you're casual, you might be running 2 to 4 times a week, keeping mileage pretty much the same, mostly easy runs, maybe one workout here and there. And running is kind of centered around your schedule. Whereas maybe on the competitive side, you might be running a few more days a week. You might be increasing your mileage and working up. You might be getting 2 workouts a weekend, and you kind of schedule everything around your running. It's like, okay, I got to run today, so I'll do that. Okay, and then I'm going to do this. So you might think about your weekends, and it's like, okay, whatever happens, I need to run first in the morning, and then I can do whatever. Um, so yeah, we got 2 levels there. Nothing too crazy, but we'll talk about some overlap that both of them have. Of course, both groups might enjoy running. Hopefully, use it to socialize, stay healthy, like to challenge themselves. Doesn't matter how hard or where you're running. If you like challenging yourself, running is probably interesting to you. But regardless of who you are, if you want to get better, you want to stress yourself, and we'll use the word stress a lot, not like freak out stress, but stressing your body, and then you want to recover and improve. Okay, so Clancy, you want to start talking about what's going on here?
Yeah, sure. So this is just basically the kind of training progression that anyone would follow in any sport, but it makes a lot of sense in this sport because we're specifically working on like a cardiovascular and musculoskeletal systems. We're not working on hand-eye coordination a lot. So you're stressing your body, and after some workout, you're going to experience fatigue, and so you're going to be not out of shape, but you're going to be kind of worn out, and so that's where this curve goes down at the very beginning, right after the stimulus, and after that, your body starts to recover. You go to bed at night. That's when you do most of your recover. And then you come back stronger than you were at the beginning. So that's that overcompensation part. And then, when you wake up the next morning or perhaps a few days later, your body comes back and returns to general fitness if you aren't applying, an increased stress in a certain way over a certain amount of time. And that's kind of what we're going to show in the next slide. So over time, you're applying these workouts, even if it's just a normal run. Maybe we'll just use workouts as an example. You do like maybe a 4-mile workout one week, and then the next week you do 5 miles, and then the next week you do 6 miles. You're going to be applying that stress in a very calculated way so that you have this cycle of stress, recovery, compensation, or overcompensation, and then you eventually get to a higher fitness where your base level of fitness is higher. That's just how this works. So just so you understand that it's a cycle. So you have to actually recover from that workout that you did. And if you don't do workouts often enough, or your line of improvement is going to be more shallow. And here's what happens if you overtrain. It's just you're stretching your body a little bit too much or perhaps a little bit too often. You can't do a workout every single day. You do 1, maybe 2 workouts a week. It seems to be about the right amount for most people so that they're getting the right amount of improvement. But if you're training too much, you might actually do worse than flatlining. You might be overstressing your body because it can't recover fast enough, and you're just not going to have any improvement. You might actually be breaking your body down. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. It's the same cycle, but your fitness might actually go down.
Great, thanks, Clancy. Yeah, what Clancy was saying. Here we can just go back to the main one. Yeah, stress. So if we use the term stress, it's like not like go do more homework. It means like go run a workout or run a little harder, and then you recover. And the idea is you get stronger. And we'll talk about what are some good things to do to recover and how to stress appropriately. But yeah, your body doesn't want to be stressed, so it's going to do things to prepare for stress if you expose it to it. And it doesn't know how to do anything different, so we take advantage of that. Okay, so here's maybe some very, very brief look at what maybe a week might look like if you're more of on the casual side, an overview. So perhaps you got one longer run. We tend to do those on Sunday, but you can really get them in at any time. And then you might have an off day, or you cross train, you go to the gym, help on the bike, or maybe you like to swim. But then you come back on Tuesday and perhaps you get another easy run in, and maybe you're doing one workout a week. So you might throw that in the middle of the week to give yourself a little time between the longer run and the workout. And then you return to easy, and then you might have two off days or just easier days followed after that. And then for maybe someone who's a little more on the competitive side or wants to improve, like in a time trial or something, you got your long run on Sunday, but then it kind of alternates easy, hard, and then easy, then another easy day, perhaps hard, easy. And it's again, it's a cycle. What we're talking about again is a cycle and trying to recover, stress, recover, so that we're slowly building up. But of course, these schedules are not permanent. There might be modifications. We might do an easier workout one day or a harder workout, so that we do get more recovery time, because we don't want to have this downward progression. So it's not every single Tuesday, Friday, it has to be a hard workout no matter what. If maybe Tuesday was really hard, maybe you take Friday's workout you tone down the intensity, give yourself a little more time to recover. But that's something you got to work out with yourself, or talk to one of us about, to help you plan a schedule. Okay. All right. So just some brief things. So yeah, Clancy was saying he manages our website, very clean looking website. So I'll just throw that in the chat function if people haven't seen it before. But where you can find our workouts. So every time we use the word workout, we're not saying like a normal run, like that's just a run. But when we say workout, we mean a few different things. So if we check out the training tab, what we're doing now, and what we've usually done, is send out weekly emails with some workout details. You can find them on the calendar here. So like Wednesday is mile repeats, or Friday was is going to be a fartlek. And you can go back and see that we've got some workouts put in here. And usually we do some weekly workouts, or weekly kind of general workouts, and we'll give a range, like the mile repeats, it says 4 to 5 of them. And we usually give an effort and a pace to try and go for, because not everyone's going to be doing the same pace. But if we said, oh, if you're running a 5K, whatever those miles would be during that's the effort you want to put into these intervals. But we're not going to spend too much time talking about the types of workouts. There's a document below the calendar that has some information where you can find it. And again, you can talk to one of us if you have some more detailed questions. But we're just giving what an overview of a week might look like. And currently, we're just kind of doing workouts every week right now, because there's no plan to shoot for, no race to shoot for. So we don't have any like modified workouts to say, okay, this week we're gonna do this, because then the next week we got a race, yada yada yada. So right now we're just doing some workouts just to try to stay fit for when races come back. Anything you wanted to say about the website, Clancy? Because I know you maintain it.
I mean, this is just for training, and that's basically where you need to look for training. This isn't as relevant now. I think the administration is still hopeful that we might be able to have classes in the spring. So it's possible theoretically that we would have track races. You could look at the racing tab, but there'll be information down the road. So just check out the website and look at the training tab for the most important information. That's last season.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at all the canceled. Sad. Okay. All right. Moving on. So we were talking about some ideas for recovery and prevention. So you might be, it's a lot harder to do these things, or get some help with these if we're not meeting, because it's not direct. So a few things we'll talk about are sleep, form, nutrition, some strength and balance, and just kind of getting to know yourself. So you want to start with sleep, Clancy?
Sure. Just when Nathan and I were putting this presentation together and just talking about things, and we've been talking about this kind of stuff for years. We kind of nerd out over just talking about training principles. Honestly, sleep is usually the first thing that comes up. Sleep is super important. Everyone needs a different amount of sleep, but kind of like 8-9 hours is usually what athletes should be shooting for. I know it's really hard in college to get that, but that's the most important part. So it's just where your body builds muscle back together and replenishes glycogen, and where you build new capillaries. It's where all of the magic happens. So that's the most important part. You'll see this on the next few slides, but on my training log, I actually put sleep into the log itself. And it seems kind of silly, but I can track over time. If I'm not doing well a certain week, I look back on that week and I see, wow, I got like 3 or 4 days in a row that I didn't sleep well. It turns out that workout might not have gone very well, or I start feeling really horrible later in the week. probably because I didn't get that much sleep. And then on the weeks where I got 9 hours every night, I felt great. So it's something that you shouldn't just try to do, but try to actually write down in your log. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, sleep is important, especially for students. And making it, well, we can talk about it later, but making it like a routine, like it, maybe you get enough sleep, but maybe you're going to bed at like 2 a.m. and sleeping until 10 one day. And then the next night, maybe, yeah, you go to bed at 9 p.m. and then you wake up at 7. Your body will do better if it has some habits. So then it knows, okay, time to go to bed, time to wake up, and be happier that way. Next thing is form for prevention. And again, we're not going to talk about too much about like what is good form in this meeting, but just saying or checking with yourself and maybe looking into it, asking questions is what, like having good form is one of the best ways to prevent injuries. Believe it or not, we're meant to run. So if we're using our muscles appropriately, you're actually, I don't want to say it, but like it's almost hard to get injured if all of your muscles are supporting your movement appropriately. And so we'll talk more about that in strength and balance. But having good form is important because your muscles are designed and built to take the load from running. Of course, maybe not like super high volumes of running. That's a little abnormal, but that's why pro athletes, like that's their life, is run hard and recover really hard. But for most of the things we do, like we can get away with running a lot. But if you have good form, that's going to be one of the key things to not getting hurt. But again, we won't talk about too much like what is that. We can save that for another time. All right, going into nutrition, you can start us off with iron, Clancy.
Sure. You know, I mean, you have iron and protein listed here. There's a lot of important things, but just when we were talking, iron has kind of had a renaissance over the last few years in distance running across the country, especially with college coaches, kind of figuring out that male and female athletes alike, distance runners tend to be on the thinner side, and there are issues around body size and body dysmorphia and that sort of thing. So there's been this kind of revolution going on across the country, discovering that a lot of distance runners have iron deficiency. And it doesn't just mean anemia itself, which is low iron in the blood, but is also low ferritin. And ferritin is the storage in your bone marrow. It's how your body basically stores iron for when you go low on iron, whether that's just from a lot of stress, you're working out a lot like us runners do, or when your body undergoes some natural phase, you lose a lot of blood, whatever it is. And distance runners in particular are super susceptible to actually losing iron out of their system through their kidneys and their liver because of hemolysis. I don't get too technical. Just there's a lot of pounding we do because of running, pounding in our feet, and the pounding on the bottom of your foot actually crushes red blood cells. And when their blood cells are crushed, they die, and then it gets filtered out, and you just pee out all of your iron. So eventually, over time, your ferritin can drop. It's not a concern for everyone, but it's something you should consider in your diet. Whether it's taking an iron supplement, which is usually recommended, it's for very few people there are any side effects. So consider an iron supplement and consider getting your iron checked if you have the opportunity to do it. I get my iron checked about once a year just to make sure that my ferritin is still okay. They say that a ferritin for distance runners, you're usually shooting for about 30. Some female athletes can go really low. They can get around 12, and that can be dangerous. It can also be dangerous for men, but it's not as common. It's just something to think about. And I mean, protein, Nathan, do you want to talk about protein?
Yeah, really quick, it's like almost an ad for like smoking or drugs or something. It's like, I didn't think it could happen to me. Well, I didn't think it could happen to me. And one summer I was just running some workouts and I was like, man, these just feel like abnormally hard for the pace that I'm running. And I've been running for a while, so I knew like, this pace should be doable. And I was like, no, it can't be like something to do with iron. Well, go to the hospital. Well, yeah, go to the hospital, get my ferritin levels checked, get the results back in a couple days. Yeah, pretty low levels, and I was like, dang, it happened to me. So took
Happened to me
some,
too.
yeah. So took some iron supplements. Liquid iron tastes awful, but it got the job done, and I've been feeling better. I've been adjusting my diet to try to include iron, um, or more iron. So okay, thanks for sharing all that information, Clancy. Yeah, liquid iron, no bueno. But it is the best way probably to get it gets absorbed more readily. So, all right, moving on to protein. So, yeah, when Clancy and I are talking, sleep is like probably the number one thing. Like if you had to choose one thing to recover, it's sleep. Um, the one of the form great, but then this one I think is not like as talked about is protein. So every time you go run or exercise, you are breaking down your muscle, um, and that muscle needs to be rebuilt. And if it's not rebuilt, you're gonna cause damage. Your muscles might fatigue more, and that could cause other muscles to have to engage in ways they're not supposed to, or take a load or more of a load that they're not supposed to, and that's going to lead to injury. So protein intake is pretty important. I would bet that most like college athletes that aren't conscious about it don't get enough protein. And like I didn't think it could happen to me again, but I finally like actually logged what I was eating, and I realized, dang, I am not getting enough protein. And I guess I will share a number that you might shoot for protein in terms of grams. It's about 1.5 to 2 times your mass in grams of protein. And I'll kind of give it a number. So that's what you're shooting for. So 1.5, oh, not 5 times, sorry, 1.5 to 2 times, not 5 times. That'd be, well, it wouldn't be bad, but you probably have really weird poop. So you're shooting for 1.5, 1.5 to 2 times. So what does that mean? If you are 60 kilograms, a nice easy number to work with. If you're 60 kilograms, so you might have to convert if you weigh yourself in pounds, or you can just find a different ratio. But if you're 60 kilograms, what does that mean? You're trying to get 90 to 120 grams of protein per day, And if you write that number down, and if you at least log how much protein you're consuming, you'll be surprised. It's a lot. It's a lot. But if you're running pretty consistently, you need to rebuild. 100 pounds is 40. Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Priyanka. Give people something to grasp onto. Yeah. I just do 60 because I'm around 60. So, okay. So yeah, protein, like all I can say is just eat more protein. If you need to get a supplement, like a protein powder, that's a pretty easy way to get some more protein, or just eating more protein. If you're vegan or vegetarian, there's actually some really good alternatives, seitan or seitan, whatever you want to call it, and like these fake sausage things. A lot of them are actually like really high in protein. So you might go look at that. Okay. Strength and balance. I'll just talk about this one since we're on that idea. A lot of times people like, I've found that a lot of common injuries come from like imbalance in strength in people's legs and muscles. So your quads, hamstrings, and calves, those are like the biggest. Those are your biggest muscles below the waist, and those take most of the load every time you run. And so, for example, something might happen. So let's say you're running a bunch and you won't know it, but maybe your left quadricep gets tired, gets fatigued more than something else. You're not going to notice that, but what might happen is your left calf might start compensating more because you're forcing yourself to like keep the same pace, keep up the workout. So to do that, your left quad is like, I can't do this. So then something else has to kick in to take the load, and it might be some other muscle in your legs. And that's the thing you're going to feel that starts to hurt. And you're going to treat the calf, and you're like, dang, my calf hurts. It's always my calf. But it might be something else. That's weak. And so there are a few ways to test like an imbalance. It's pretty easy with a partner. You'll just have them like you might sit on a chair and lift up, or like do a leg extension, and they might push down on each leg and kind of feel if they're equal. Same with the hamstring. You might lie on your stomach with your legs flat, and you'll try to curl your legs, and you test each leg. You can do it with your glutes, lay on your side, and try to like do a scissor thing, push up. So you can get a rough estimate like that. But that's something to maybe consider. And again, I never thought it would happen to me, but in high school, uh, uh, like I swear, I was having this calf issue. And I'm just a high schooler, and so I would just roll my calf out like every day, like in class. Like I was trying to go to it, try to fix it, but it just wouldn't get any better. And my coach recommended me to this one PT person, chiropractor. I don't know what he was. He was basically a wizard, and he found out it was my hamstring or my quad, and he worked on my quad, and that fixed my calf. And yeah, it was great. So it might be something else, is what I'm saying. So getting some strength into you might be good, whether that's body stuff like just plyometrics or getting into a weight room. So do you want to finish up with kind of this last point about kind of understanding kind of different feelings, Clancy?
Sure. I think like we've talked to people a lot. I've talked to people a lot about this over the years, knowing the difference between a real injury versus just a twinge or something that hurts during a run. Somebody will come up to me and just say, something hurts. And I've done it too. I mean, I go to my coach and just people I trust, and I go, my knee kind of hurts right now. My foot kind of hurt on the run. That is you're going to be able to make those decisions yourself better over time. The more you run, the better you'll know your body. You'll have some injuries multiple times throughout your running career. It's just going to happen. You might get shin splints multiple times. You might get a knee problem, but you're going to know how to recover. You're going to know what's real versus what's not. And of course, you have some pain. Everyone has different sensitivity to injury. Some people can kind of run through stuff. Some people just collapse at the first sign of trouble. Some tiny little twinge, they get a minor little calf cramp, and they just fall down, and that's it. And I have to take a rest for a week or two. I have a tiny blister on my toe. So just knowing the difference between those two is going to get better over time. And the more this also comes up, I'll refer to the log again. This is something you should put in your log when you have these little pains. It'll be easier for you to look at that in the future, look back on it like something that happened a year or two ago and say, well, I had the same problem and I was actually able to recover from it in 3 days by rolling, stretching, and icing. So.
Thanks, Clancy. Yeah. Like I always deal with a knee like thing, and it usually happens when I'm like sitting and I'm like not really mobile. And if I try to run right away, like my knee hurts a lot, but like it eventually loosens up and goes away. But I know like it shouldn't stop me from running, and I'll just keep going and do a few things for it. But a good rule of thumb is if you have like symmetrical soreness or pain in your legs, that's probably okay. But if you have like a concentrated, isolated feeling somewhere in your legs, that you might, like Clance said, log it, see what you did. Maybe log your sleep, log what you did for like school that day, if you were sitting a bunch or you're just really tired. So you can try to figure out like what's the issue. But again, a lot of these things we're not gonna go too in depth on. We're just things to look out for, things to think about. Okay, staying motivated right now. So we have a few tips that we think would be helpful. If you can, running with a handful of people might be nice. I think we do have some small groups meeting in Davis. So you can just, it helps with, I think this bottom part too is just consistency. We just say it's 7 a.m. every morning, and sure, people come and go, but for the most part, it's like, if 7 a.m., like I'm going to go run with these people, that can help you out. I was actually not thinking about running till the afternoon today, but then I was like, nope, going 7 a.m. So if you can get with some people, that'd be nice. But if you can't, at least trying to keep touch with each other. It's always, like Clancy was saying, it's just talking to someone about running kind of can even motivate you. Be like, whoa, I think he was saying like, yeah, this person's still doing this. Wow, that's awesome. And kind of gets you like, okay, I should probably be doing that. We do have a Strava club page thing. if you want to stay connected that way. So I'll just put it in the chat function. So if you're interested in seeing that, there's like a lot of people on it, so it's kind of hard to see like everyone, like a good snapshot, but it's there. It's a good, like running is a good COVID exercise. So if you just want exercise, running is pretty good. You don't have to be inside. You don't really have to do it with anyone. You could go by yourself, but yeah, it's a pretty good running exercise. You get to stay away from people, hopefully run on some trails or something, or farmland or gravel where there's not too many people. So yeah, running's just if you're like, I just want exercise, running's a good way to do that during these times. And then this is maybe the biggest one, is just like, maybe it won't motivate you, but if you can have consistency or routine, and kind of like just a lifestyle of running, that I don't know, it might make you feel better. Like you get your run in for the day and you're like, wow, I can do anything. I'm actually like, it's unfortunate. I'm like really productive right before and after I run. And so I try to get things done. And then like by like 2 p.m. I'm like, I'm gassed and I'm done. So I was like, I'll just go run again. And actually sometimes it works. So yeah, those are some things. On the next slide, Clancy can talk about a few of these ones.
So on the next page, after this next slide, we're going to show just some examples of logs, and they're just for ease, there are logs. We show you some different examples. I mean, everyone logs their stuff differently. For a while, we were trying to do it as a team. Honestly, the closest thing we've gotten for consistency is just having like the club Strava, and it's a nice idea to have a team log, but it just hasn't worked out. That said, it's super important for the reasons I said earlier in this call. I have 3 different logs. I have a training log, a training journal, and a food journal. I'll talk about that in a minute, but we have some examples at the end of the slides here about videos or articles, podcasts, websites, just things that you can look up to stay motivated on running. For those of you who like feel the identity of a runner, like you are a runner, that's just who I am, that's my life, that's what I do, it's part of me. It helps a lot to have that affirmation, and that isn't, some of that involves just like being involved in the online running community, looking up what other people are doing, maybe staying up on what professionals are doing, or maybe just staying in touch with your friends. I like to just read inspirational articles and listen to podcasts from even people who are not even in running, but maybe just cyclists or Olympians in other sports. It really just helps keep you motivated. Also, this last bit here is important to touch on for next year. This situation we're in is not going to last forever. It's a great time to actually work on consistency. You have this nice, really long chunk of time with no pressure to just start building your mileage super slowly. And I realized this, well, it took me a while into COVID, but like in May, I realized that. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to start building my mileage 1 mile a week. So here I am now 24 weeks into that training plan, and I've been increasing 1 mile a week since, and it's worked out really well. So just think about that next year when we do go to race in the fall, because we'll probably be able to, this will have been an awesome year to build that mileage up. That's it.
Awesome. So yeah, we'll check out example log. So obviously it's Clancy's, well, it's not obvious, but here's Clancy. So let him talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I just go over this briefly. Everyone's is different. This is just what I decided was going to be best for me. Like, here, let me pull this out here. So I chose to keep all of my logs on paper just because I like the tactile, like I like touching it and knowing it and just having it all right there, and it's on the shelf and I can pull it off and look at it. And then all I have to do is I scan it or I take a picture of it with my phone and I send it to my coach and it's all organized here. This is just strictly the running log. This is all that my coach needs to know is going on that day. It's like I slept well. This is how much I ran. This is how fast it was. Usually I'll put like where it was. So on this week, I think I was mainly on the treadmill, but I'm not actually sure. So this is September. Anyway, and I have the workouts in here. I show if it was a double, how well I slept. And I also have this this is a training journal, and I have all sorts of like inspirational stuff in here, photos and cards that I get, and just everything. And I actually, I write a longer paragraph of just how the day went and related to running. It's not everything. It's literally just how was the rest of life and how did that affect my running? And then just to wrap that all together, I have another separate journal where I write down what I eat, and it's not the amount because that doesn't matter for me. It's just what I eat. And then I write comments and if it affected the run, because we've all had poop problems. And this has helped so much because now I know all the stuff I can't eat before I go run. Like if it's a couple days before or right before or anything, I won't go into details, but I'm just saying, like, it's been very valuable for me to just take a couple minutes every day and just write down what I eat.
Thanks, Clancy. So yeah, you have a physical log. So if you like those, Clancy's got a good example. You can go back and read that. And then I keep mine on an Excel spreadsheet where I just have the miles and pace, and then the dates, the shoes that I'm wearing, workout details, and then here's just like, and then on the right hand side, notes about, yeah, just life and other things going on that week. So it's collecting data, and you can see patterns. When am I successful? When was I not successful? So yeah, however you want to do it, it's best to keep a log. So okay, so where to start? So we got a slide next, also like how to keep going, but where to start? First thing is just getting consistency and running. There's no need to do a bunch of workouts to start if you're just starting up, but working up to maybe running 4 to 5 times a week with little issues. If running 4 times a week is pretty hard, then you say, okay, my goal is to try and run 4 times a week and feel pretty comfortable and saying, okay, I think I'm ready to move up. Finding a routine. Even if maybe you've been running, but you've been running like in the morning sometime and the night sometime, finding a routine is super helpful. Even if it is run in the morning one day, run at night another day, but as long as it's consistent, it's like this day, this is when I'm running, then you can hopefully plan for it and get used to running at those times. Just having some smaller goals will help you start out. Maybe it's like, okay, today next week I want to try to run a little bit longer on one day, or you say I want to try to run a few more days here and there. Maybe I want to bump up the pace or bump down the pace a little bit. Maybe I want to try a new route. So things to get you started. Workouts, if you're just getting started, you might take a few weeks just to do some normal running, but then you can talk to one of us and we can get you started. But having a log will help to help say, okay, if you're doing this workout, maybe what pace should it be or what effort, and we can always modify it. So it doesn't have to be the what we put out. It can be modified. So and then also just staying in contact and communication with someone is also helpful. So yeah. And then really quick, just how to keep going. You might start to have more polarized training, which is having like some pretty hard days, but then you got your easy days. So that's kind of the hard, easy. Maybe you start throwing in some doubles. You run for an extra 20 minutes in the afternoon. Just super easy. Maybe you start doing like dedicated recovery sessions where it's like, okay, 10 minutes right now, 15 minutes. I'm just going to do a few things to help me out and focus on how I'm feeling. Rolling, maybe some mobility, light stretching. You might start logging your nutrition like Clancy does. And then if you've been running, you can compare your past workouts. You can start setting up some time trials for yourself. Maybe get into some strength training, start doing more drills. So yeah, that's how to keep going. Okay, well, we're getting towards the end. So this slideshow is linked, and we've got some links to some YouTube channels if you're interested in watching some running stuff or podcasts. I've been actually really enjoying some podcasts recently. Some of these aren't even about like just endurance running, but just maybe some other endurance sports, or like Clancy was saying, listening or reading to just other things going on. I have another example. My dad, he's pretty old. I think he's pushing 70, and he like watches these like late night documentaries on like, I remember one time I was talking to him, we were just like hanging out, and he's like, Nathan, I'm like, what? And he said, like, I was watching this thing, it's like a guy in a wheelchair, like, went across the country. And I'm like, that's great, Dad. And he's like, yeah, like, I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, Dad, well, do you want to be in a wheelchair or do you want to like do something else? And he's like, no, I want to like get into biking. So he got an electric bike, which he's fortunate enough to just do that. But yeah, he gets into biking a little bit. So he goes and bikes with my mom now every once in a while. So yeah, he watched something and was like, what am I doing? Like these people are like they're they've got a lot of bad things going in their life, but they're still doing awesome things. So yeah, so you might listen to some things or watch, and then I didn't go out and find like individual websites, but if you click on this is a pretty cool website. If you click on it, it just gives you the top websites of whatever. You can actually change this to different categories, so you can go through and see. There's some blogs, there's some ones with articles, but you can go see. There's a bunch, so yeah, go explore. Okay, and the last thing, we won't keep you here to do it, but I'll show you what you could do. So I'll link. This is a different slideshow, but it's used as more of an assignment actually, and I'll give some instructions like you were my high school students. What you want to do is open this. You want to make a copy for yourself. You can once you open it, you go to File on the top left, make a copy, and what it's going to have is a checklist. It's a two slide checklist, and there's some icons in the bottom. There's a green thumb, a yellow thumb, and a red thumb. And you might look at the checklist and you can copy and paste as many of the thumbs as you need. And you might fill in the checklist. Okay, do I have a weekly running mileage goal? It's like, do I set those? Do I have those? Okay, copy and paste a green thumb in that. And then you'll go through the list and kind of assess yourself. No one's gonna see this, don't worry. And you can say, okay, do I have mostly green thumbs? Am I mostly yellow thumbs? Or is it where are my red thumbs? So where can I improve? Maybe if I don't know too much about that, I can talk to someone about it or look into that. So it's just a little reflection tool for yourself. And I'm sure none of us have all green thumbs in it. So you could probably find some places to improve. But I think that brings us to the end.